This webinar will provide a brief overview of some of the key characteristics we're looking at in evaluating great strategy models. They are: 1, we need to make sure that they're based on a limited number of perspectives, more than just the financial view of the organization. 2, we need to make sure that they capture a view of the existing strategy. 3, they need to identify the key objectives, what's to be done, not how to do it. They need to make sure that they show the main hypothesis of how to create success, not the millions of ancillary ones. We have to be very clear about what our priorities are. We need to make sure that it does not respect the organization chart, but rather talks about the cross-functional execution of strategy. We need to make sure that it's simple, just 3 words. And finally, it's got to be memorable. So I'll show you an example. We're going to work forward one by one through these steps. One is based on limited number of perspectives. So traditionally we use, of course, financial, customer, internal, and learning and growth or enablers. Now, you may want to shift the names from things like customer to stakeholder, and in some cases we put the financial objective down the bottom in the public sector because that's the priority of their activities. Secondly, make sure that it captures the existing strategy and identify the key objectives, what's to be done, not how to do it. So if we take those objectives, and in this case we'll use the example of the IT division within Sun Life. There are a number of specific vision statements that they identified. For example, we need to be able to execute with agility, develop the key capabilities, and so forth. The idea here is we're not reinventing anything. The leadership team and others have gone through, thought carefully about the objectives, debated them, come up with the wording, and agreed on what those objectives are. At this point in time, we don't need to create a new strategy, just get a clear view of the existing one. And secondly, we have to be fairly concise in how we describe these. Now, we have to join these objectives together to form a hypothesis, a cause and effect relationship on how we create success. So in this case, if our goal is to enable business success, there are really 3 things we need to do. We need to support the business unit service levels, we need to enable business growth, and we need to balance risk and returns. How to achieve these 3 objectives? Well, it's all through executing with agility. If we execute through agility, we can supporting the business units and so forth. The idea is these arrows begin to show the cause and effect relationship between how objectives create overall success. We need to be clear on priorities. Having the strategy map is necessary but not sufficient. We have to make it into a strategy model by adding on the strategic weightings. Where are our priorities? In this example, you can see that we're clearly focused on overall enabling the business success. To do that, we're going to be more focused on supporting the business unit and enabling growth, and we're going to do that by executing with agility and being better partners. So it's a very clear strategy. The theme around operational excellence is clear, and it's very top-weighted. We're very concerned about what the customers see us performing. It doesn't respect the organization chart, though. Each of these objectives at the top of the house, if we cascade it down across the organization chart, we have groups like maintenance, development, customer support, hardware, and so forth. If we take one of those objectives like enable business growth, each group has a different thing that they need to do to contribute to that success. So that top of the house strategy map is not respecting the organization chart. It's saying we must enable business growth. And each of us are going to figure out something different that we need to do to contribute to that overall objective. We're not biasing the strategy map by the organizational silos. Strategic objectives naturally flow cross-functionally. 3 words. All of these are simple. They just have the 3 words. But they're backed up by a simple description of what and why. What it is and why is it important to the organization. And beyond that, eventually we'll be identifying metrics and further definitions. But the title itself doesn't have to carry the weight of the entire communications message. And then finally, memorable. This has to be something that we can publish and make available to every employee and stakeholder, and they can understand what it says. More importantly, we need to make sure that if we had an elevator quiz conversation with them or out at the bar, this is top of mind. It has to be simple enough that at any moment they can recall what the objectives are and what the key weightings are. That way, moment to moment, they can make decisions consistent with management. To learn more about these concepts and others, please join us at pm2consulting.com.